Imani Brooks's hands trembled as she folded the napkin around the small piece of paper. Her heart hammered against her ribs so hard, she was sure the entire private dining room could hear it. She had exactly 30 seconds before she needed to clear the dessert plates. 30 seconds to decide if she was going to save a stranger's life or mind her own business like she'd done for the past 8 months, working at the Gilded Lotus. The man sitting at the head of the table was breathtaking in a dangerous way. Lee Jong-Suk. She'd served him twice before, always quiet, always watching everything with those dark, calculating eyes. Tonight he sat beside his fiancée, Valentina Romano, a stunning woman who smiled like a knife and touched him like he was already hers. But 10 minutes ago, Imani had been refilling water glasses when she'd overheard Valentina's hushed phone conversation in the hallway. The words had frozen her blood. Tomorrow night, the warehouse meeting. Make sure there's nothing left to identify. My brother wants it clean. Imani wasn't stupid. She'd grown up in Chicago, knew enough to recognize when someone was planning murder. And now she had a choice. Walk away and let this beautiful, terrifying man die, or risk everything. She thought of her father in that hospital bed, hooked up to dialysis machines they could barely afford. She thought of how she'd feel if she did nothing and read about Lee Jong-Suk's body being found in some warehouse. Her decision crystallized in an instant. Imani approached the table with practiced grace, beginning to clear plates. When she reached Jong-Suk, she placed the folded napkin directly under his dessert plate, her fingers steady, despite her racing pulse. "Can I get you anything else, sir?" Jong-Suk's eyes lifted to hers, and for a moment, the world narrowed to just the two of them. Dark, intense, searching. He picked up his napkin, unfolded it casually, and read the note she'd scribbled in her rushed handwriting. "She's planning to kill you. The warehouse is a trap. Tomorrow night. Someone who gives a damn." Before we start, have you ever made a split-second decision that changed your entire life? Drop a comment below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because this story is about to get wild. His expression didn't change, not even a flicker, but his jaw tightened almost imperceptibly, and when he looked at her again, something shifted in those eyes. Recognition, calculation, and something that made heat pool in her stomach despite the terror. Actually, his voice was smooth, accented, lethal. "I'd like to speak with the manager. There's been a slight issue with the service." Imani's stomach dropped. Oh God, had she misread everything? But then he said, voice dropping lower, "Wait for me after your shift. Don't leave this building without me." It wasn't a request. It was a command that sent shivers down her spine. Before she could respond, Valentina leaned forward, her red lips curved in a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Darling, what's wrong?" Jong-Suk folded the napkin carefully and placed it in his pocket. Then he stood, his movements fluid and controlled. "Valentina, my love, I have a question for you." The entire table went silent. "This note says you're planning to kill me tomorrow night, at a warehouse meeting." His voice was conversational, almost pleasant. "Care to explain?" The temperature in the room plummeted. Valentina's face drained of color, then flushed red. "What? That's insane. Who gave you that?" Her eyes snapped to Imani, with such venom that Imani actually took a step back. "Does it matter?" Jong-Suk's hand moved to his jacket, and Imani saw the subtle shift of every man in the room, reaching for weapons. "Is it true?" "Of course not." Valentina's voice pitched higher. "This is ridiculous. Some waitress probably wants attention or—" "So you're not planning to have me killed?" Jong-Suk interrupted. "You're not working with my brother Taemin to stage a coup? You're not carrying his child instead of mine?" The silence that followed was deafening. Valentina's face went from red to white in seconds. How did you? That was all the confirmation he needed. Everything happened at once. Valentina's guards reached for their weapons. Jong-Suk moved with brutal efficiency, his own gun appearing in his hand like magic. The sound of the first gunshot made Imani scream and duck behind the serving cart. Glass shattered. Someone shouted in Korean. Another gunshot. Then another. Imani's ears rang as she pressed herself against the wall, trying to make herself invisible. Through the chaos, she saw Jong-Suk move like a predator, calm and controlled even as bullets flew. He shot one man in the shoulder, disarmed another with a vicious strike to the throat, and somehow crossed the room to where she was hiding. Up. Now. His hand closed around her wrist, yanking her to her feet. They saw you give me the note. You're coming with me. I didn't sign up for this. Imani gasped as he pulled her toward the kitchen entrance. You did the moment you chose to save my life. He kicked open the kitchen door, his body shielding hers, as they ran through the chaos of clattering pans and shouting staff. Now let me return the favor. They burst through the back exit into the freezing Chicago night. A black SUV screeched to a stop in front of them, and a man with sharp features threw open the back door. Get in! Jong-Suk practically shoved her inside, sliding in beside her as bullets pinged off the reinforced metal. Drive, Ji-hoon. The SUV peeled away from the restaurant, tires screaming. Imani's whole body shook as adrenaline crashed through her system. She'd just witnessed a shootout. People had died, and she was in a car with a man she'd just learned was definitely not just a regular customer. Who are you? She gasped, pressing herself against the door. Jong-Suk was checking his gun, his movements methodical. There was blood on his white shirt, though she didn't think it was his. Lee Jong-Suk, head of the Lee family. He glanced at her, and his expression softened slightly. Thank you for the warning. What's your name? Imani. Imani Brooks. She tried to steady her breathing. The Lee family, as in the Korean Mafia Lee family. Yes. Oh my God. Oh my God, I didn't know. Breathe, he commanded, his hand suddenly on her knee. The touch sent electricity through her despite everything. You saved my life tonight, Imani Brooks. But now Valentina's people saw you. They'll assume you're working with me. I'm not. Doesn't matter what's true. Matters what they believe. His jaw tightened. They'll come for you. To send a message. To punish me. Terror clawed up her throat. So what? You're just going to dump me somewhere and let them kill me? His eyes locked onto hers, dark and intense and absolutely unyielding. No, I protect what's mine. As of tonight, Imani, you're mine. Do you understand? Her breath caught. There was possession in his voice, in his gaze, in the way his hand tightened on her knee. She should be terrified. She should demand he let her out right now. But something hot and dangerous unfurled in her chest. Something that whispered this man would burn the world down to keep her safe. I'm not yours, she said, but her voice came out breathy, unconvincing. His lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. We'll see about that. If you're hooked already, smash that like button and let me know in the comments. Would you have given him that note? Now let's see what happens next. The mansion Jong-Suk brought her to wasn't a home. It was a fortress. High walls, security cameras everywhere, men with guns stationed at every entrance. Imani's stomach churned as the SUV pulled into an underground garage that looked like it could withstand a nuclear blast. This way. Jong-Suk's hand settled on the small of her back, guiding her toward an elevator. The touch was proprietary, possessive, and it made her skin burn. I need to call my father, Imani said, as the elevator doors closed, trapping them in the small space. He'll worry. Already handled. Ji-hoon contacted the hospital. Your father knows you're safe. She whirled on him. You had no right. I had every right. He stepped closer, crowding her against the elevator wall. He smelled like gunpowder and expensive cologne. The moment you saved my life, you became my responsibility. Your father, your safety, everything. Mine to protect. Stop saying that. Why? Because it scares you? His hand came up to cup her jaw, thumb brushing her lower lip. Or because you like it? Her breath hitched. Damn him for being right. Damn her for the way heat pooled low in her belly at his touch, at the dark promise in his eyes. The elevator doors opened, saving her from having to answer. He led her through a sprawling penthouse. That was all clean lines and masculine luxury. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the Chicago skyline, glittering with lights. It was beautiful and cold, and completely intimidating. Your room. He opened a door to reveal a bedroom that was bigger than her entire apartment. King-sized bed, attached bathroom, a closet that probably cost more than her car. Everything you need is here. Clothes in your size will be delivered tomorrow. How do you know my size? His smile was predatory. I pay attention. The way his eyes dragged over her body made her shiver. He'd been watching her. Even before tonight, he'd noticed her. You'll stay here until I neutralize the threat, he continued. Don't try to leave. My men have orders to keep you safe. You mean keep me prisoner? Same thing right now. He moved toward the door, then paused. Get some rest, Imani. Tomorrow we discuss how you're going to help me destroy everyone who betrayed me. I'm not helping you do anything. He looked back at her, and the intensity in his gaze stole her breath. Yes, you are. Because if you don't, Valentina wins. Tae-min wins, and they'll kill your father just to hurt me through you. The casual cruelty of those words, the absolute truth in them, made her blood run cold. Sleep well, he said softly, and left, the door clicking shut behind him. Imani stood frozen for a long moment, then heard the unmistakable sound of a lock engaging. She was a prisoner, a bird in a gilded cage, and the worst part? Some dark, twisted part of her didn't entirely hate it. Imani didn't sleep. How could she when her entire life had imploded in the span of 2 hours? She paced the massive bedroom, tried the door repeatedly, even though she knew it was locked, and finally collapsed on the bed as dawn light crept through the windows. Her father. God, her father must be terrified, and his dialysis. A soft knock interrupted her spiraling thoughts. The lock clicked, and Jong-Suk entered carrying a tray. He'd changed into black slacks and a crisp white shirt, looking infuriatingly put together, while she felt like a wreck. Breakfast, he said, setting the tray on the bedside table. Scrambled eggs, toast, fresh fruit, coffee. The domestic gesture was so at odds with the man who'd killed people last night that it made her head spin. I'm not hungry. Eat anyway. You'll need your strength. For what? Sitting in this prison? For surviving what comes next. He sat on the edge of the bed, too close. Valentina put a bounty on your head last night. $2 million. The room tilted. What? Every mercenary and desperate criminal in Chicago now wants you dead. His voice was matter-of-fact, but his eyes were burning. You're worth more dead than most people make in a lifetime. Oh my God. Nausea clawed up her throat. This is insane. I just gave you a note. I was trying to do the right thing. And now you're paying for it. He reached out, tucking a strand of her hair behind her ear with surprising gentleness. But I meant what I said. I protect what's mine. Stop calling me that. Why? His hand slid to the back of her neck, grip firm. It's the truth. The moment you warned me, you chose a side. My side. And I don't abandon my people. I'm not your people. I'm a waitress who made a stupid decision. His laugh was dark, humorless. You're the woman who saved my life when you had every reason to walk away. You're brave and smart and entirely too good for the world you've just entered. But here you are. The intensity in his gaze made her heart race. She should pull away, should slap him, should do anything except sit there drowning in those dark eyes. My father, she whispered. I need to see him. Something flickered across Jong-Suk's face. That can be arranged. But first, we need to talk about what happens next. He stood, putting distance between them that she both appreciated and hated. Valentina and Taemin are getting married in 6 days. It's a power play, uniting the Romano and Lee families under their rule while I'm supposedly dead or discredited. So what are you going to do? Show up. His smile was cold, dangerous. With you on my arm. Imani's laugh was slightly hysterical. You want me to crash a mafia wedding with you? Are you insane? Probably. He turned back to her, and the look on his face made her breath catch. But I need someone Valentina won't expect. Someone who'll throw her off balance. Someone brave enough to stand beside me when everything goes to hell. Why me? Because you already proved you're willing to risk everything to do what's right. He moved closer again, magnetic, inescapable. Because you're smart enough to play the game. And because every instinct I have is screaming that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. The words hung between them, heavy with meaning she wasn't ready to examine. And if I refuse? His expression hardened. Then you're free to go. But Valentina's people are hunting you. I give you maybe 48 hours before they find you. Your father too. The threat was implicit but clear. She had no real choice. Not if she wanted to survive. Not if she wanted her father to survive. What do I get out of this? She lifted her chin, refusing to be cowed. Besides staying alive? Approval gleamed in his eyes. Smart girl. Your father gets the kidney transplant he needs. Top of the donor list. Best surgeons in the country. And when this is over, $500,000 for your future. The amount staggered her. That kind of money could change everything. Could give her father years he wouldn't have otherwise. In writing, she demanded. Legal contract. His smile was genuine this time, transforming his face into something devastating. I'll have my lawyer draw it up today. He extended his hand. Do we have a deal? Imani stared at his hand, at this beautiful, dangerous man who'd dragged her into his world of violence and power. She thought of her father, of the medical bills crushing her, of the life she'd been barely surviving. She took his hand. His grip was firm, warm, possessive. We have a deal. Good. He pulled her to her feet, close enough that she could feel the heat radiating off his body. Then let's begin. First rule. In public, you're mine. My fiancé. You touch me, I touch you. We sell the illusion that we're madly in love. That's going to be a hard sell when I barely know you. His thumb traced circles on the inside of her wrist, over her racing pulse. Then I suggest we get to know each other very quickly. He released her, stepping back. The door's unlocked now. You're free to move around the penthouse, but don't leave without Ji-hoon or another guard. Understood? She nodded, not trusting her voice. I'll arrange for your father to visit tomorrow. Give you time to explain the situation. He moved toward the door, then paused. And Imani, eat something. You'll need your strength for what I have planned. After he left, Imani sank onto the bed, her whole body trembling. What had she just agreed to? 6 days to prepare to infiltrate a mafia wedding. 6 days pretending to be engaged to a man who made her burn with a look. 6 days before everything went to hell. She picked at the breakfast, her appetite non-existent despite his orders. The coffee was perfect though, strong and black, exactly how she liked it. He'd noticed that too, apparently. An hour later, a knock on the door preceded the entrance of 3 women, carrying garment bags and makeup cases. The oldest, a sharp-eyed woman in her 50s, smiled professionally. "Mr. Lee sent us. I'm Helena, your stylist. We're here to prepare you for your new role." "My new role," Imani repeated faintly, "as Mr. Lee's fiancée." Helena's smile turned knowing. "Trust me, dear. By the time we're done, you'll look like you belong in his world." The next 3 hours were a whirlwind. They measured her for clothes, tried dozens of dresses on her, did her makeup and hair multiple times to find the right look. Imani felt like a doll being dressed up, and she hated every second of it, until she saw herself in the mirror. The woman staring back at her was stunning. The red dress hugged every curve, the neckline just low enough to be devastating without being trashy. Her natural hair had been styled into elegant curls, and the makeup emphasized her eyes and full lips. She looked powerful, dangerous, like she could belong on Jong-Suk's arm. "Perfect," Helena declared. "Mr. Lee is going to lose his mind." As if summoned, Jong-Suk appeared in the doorway. His eyes went dark, pupils dilating as they traveled over her body with an intensity that made her skin burn. "Leave us," he said without looking away from Imani. The women filed out quickly. The door clicked shut. Jong-Suk moved toward her with predatory grace, circling her like a wolf. "You look—" He paused behind her, his breath warm on her neck. Devastating. In the mirror, she watched his hand hover near her waist, not quite touching. The anticipation was worse than contact would have been. "Is this what you wanted?" Her voice came out husky. "Someone who looks the part? This is more than I expected." His hand finally settled on her hip, burning through the thin fabric. "Every man is going to want you. Every woman is going to hate you. Perfect." She turned to face him, which was a mistake because it put them inches apart. "And what about you? What about me? Do you want me?" The question hung between them, dangerous and electric. His eyes dropped to her lips. "That's a very dangerous question, Imani. I'm already in danger. Might as well know what I'm dealing with." His hand came up to cup her jaw, thumb brushing her lower lip in a touch that sent heat straight through her. "Yes, I want you. I've wanted you since the first time you served me 3 months ago and met my eyes without flinching. I've wanted you every time you smiled at other customers but stayed professional with me. And I definitely want you now, standing in my home, wearing a dress I bought you, looking like every fantasy I've ever had." Her breath caught. The raw honesty in his voice, the heat in his gaze, the way his body was practically vibrating with restraint. "But," he continued, stepping back and dropping his hand, "wanting and taking are different things. You're here because I forced your hand, because you had no choice, and I don't touch women who can't freely choose me." The words should have been reassuring. Instead, they made her ache with something like disappointment. "What if I chose you anyway?" His jaw clenched. "Don't play games with me, Imani. You don't know what you're asking for." "Then tell me." She moved closer, emboldened by the dress, by the way he looked at her, by the adrenaline still pumping through her system. "Tell me what happens if I choose you." "You get burned." His voice was rough, strained. "I'm not a good man. I've killed people. I'll kill more before this is over. I'm possessive and jealous, and I don't share. If you choose me, you choose all of that. The violence, the danger, the darkness. And what do I get in return? He stared at her for a long moment. Everything. My protection, my resources, my complete and utter devotion. I would burn this city to the ground before I let anyone hurt you. I would start a war for you. I would kill for you. He paused. I already have. The confession sent shivers down her spine. The men at the restaurant. 3 of them. For touching what's mine. I wasn't yours then. His smile was dark, predatory. Yes, you were. You just didn't know it yet. The possessiveness should have terrified her. Instead, it made heat pool low in her belly. What was wrong with her? Why did his darkness call to something inside her? I need to think, she whispered. Then think. He moved toward the door. But do it quickly, because in 6 days, you're walking into hell beside me, and I need to know if you're going to run or stand and fight. After he left, Imani collapsed on the bed, her heart racing. Everything about this was insane. Everything about him was dangerous. So why did she want to choose him anyway? The next morning, Jong-Suk kept his promise. Imani's father arrived in a wheelchair, accompanied by 2 nurses and Ji-hoon. The moment she saw him, tears flooded her eyes. Dad! She ran to him, dropping to her knees and wrapping her arms around him carefully. He looked better than he had in months. His color was good, his eyes clear. Baby girl, Marcus Brooks said, his voice stronger than she'd heard in years. What kind of trouble did you get yourself into? Imani laughed through her tears. The life-saving kind, apparently. Jong-Suk gave them privacy, retreating to his office while Imani caught her father up on everything. Well, almost everything. She left out the part about Jong-Suk's effect on her, the way he made her feel things she had no business feeling. This man, her father said carefully, he's treating you right. He's keeping me alive, keeping you alive. That's not what I asked. Imani met her father's knowing eyes. He'd always been able to read her too well. He's complicated, dangerous, but he's keeping his word. You're getting the transplant, Dad. Top of the list. Best doctors. At what cost to you? I play a role for a week, pretend to be his fiancée at a wedding. Then I walk away with enough money to take care of both of us for years. Her father's expression turned serious. And if you don't want to walk away? The question hit too close to home. Dad, I see how you talk about him. I saw how he looked at you when we arrived, before he gave us space. Marcus took her hand. I'm not saying fall for a gangster, but I am saying life's too short to deny yourself happiness, because it comes in an unexpected package. He kills people. And he saved us. Both of us. Her father squeezed her hand. I'm not telling you what to do. Just don't close your heart off because you think you should. Sometimes the right person comes in the wrong wrapping. After her father left, promising to call her daily, Imani found Jong-Suk in a massive home gym. He was shirtless, destroying a punching bag with brutal efficiency. Sweat gleamed on his skin, highlighting every muscle, every scar. He was beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. He noticed her, stopped mid-punch. How's your father? Good, really good actually, thank you. He grabbed a towel, wiping his face. I told you I keep my promises. You did. She moved closer, drawn like a moth to flame. Teach me. Teach you what? To fight, to protect myself. She lifted her chin. If I'm walking into danger, I want to be able to defend myself, not just rely on you. Something like respect flashed in his eyes. You sure? It won't be easy. I'm tougher than I look. His smile was slow, dangerous. I know. That's what I like about you. For the next hour, he taught her basic self-defense. How to break a hold, where to strike for maximum damage, how to use an attacker's weight against them. He was patient, but demanding, correcting her form, making her repeat moves until they were muscle memory. And the whole time, his hands on her body were torture, professional instructional touches that somehow felt more intimate than anything she'd experienced. Again, he commanded after she failed to break his hold for the third time. You're thinking too much. Stop thinking. Just react. He grabbed her from behind, arm around her waist. She could feel every inch of his body against hers, hard muscle and heat. Her brain short-circuited. Imani, focus. She tried the move again, this time managing to stomp on his instep and elbow him in the ribs hard enough to make him grunt. Better. He released her, and she spun to face him. They were both breathing hard, sweat-slicked and close. You're a quick learner. Good teacher. The air between them crackled with tension. His eyes dropped to her lips, darkened with want. She swayed toward him without meaning to. We should stop, he said roughly. Before I do something we'll both regret. What if I wouldn't regret it? Imani, I'm tired of pretending I don't feel this. She placed her hand on his chest, felt his heart racing as fast as hers. I'm tired of you being noble when all I want is for you to lose control. His hand covered hers, pressing it harder against his chest. You don't know what you're asking for. Then show me. Something in him snapped. He hauled her against him, one hand fisting in her hair, the other gripping her hip hard enough to bruise. Last chance to run. I'm not running. He kissed her like he was drowning and she was air, bruising, demanding, consuming. His tongue invaded her mouth, claiming every inch, and she met him with equal desperation. Her hands clawed at his shoulders, his back, trying to get closer even though they were already pressed together. He walked her backward until her back hit the mirrored wall. The cool glass contrasted sharply with the heat of his body pinning her there. His mouth left hers to trail fire down her neck, teeth scraping sensitive skin. Say you want this, he demanded against her throat. Say you choose this. I want this, she gasped as his hand slid under her tank top, burning against her ribs. I choose this. I choose you. He groaned, the sound purely male and desperate. His hand moved higher, and she arched into his touch, needing more, needing everything. Then his phone rang. Jong-Suk cursed in Korean, vicious and frustrated. He didn't move away immediately, pressing his forehead against hers, while they both struggled to breathe. I have to take this, he said finally. It's Ji-hoon. He wouldn't call unless it was important. Imani nodded, not trusting her voice. He stepped back, putting physical distance between them that felt like miles. He grabbed his phone, answered in rapid Korean. Whatever Ji-hoon said made Jong-Suk's expression turn deadly. When? A pause. How many? Another pause. Then, I'm on my way. He hung up, and when he looked at her, his eyes were cold, calculating. The passionate man from moments ago had vanished, replaced by the mafia boss. There's been an attempt on your father's life, at the hospital. Imani's world tilted. What? Is he? He's fine. Ji-hoon's men stopped it. 3 attackers, all dead. He was already moving, grabbing his shirt. But this changes things. They're escalating. We don't have 6 days anymore. What do you mean? He turned to her, and the intensity in his gaze stole her breath. We need to move up the timeline. The wedding is in 4 days, but we're making our first public appearance tonight. I'm announcing our engagement. Tonight? But I'm not ready. You don't have a choice. Neither of us do. He cupped her face, thumb brushing her cheek with unexpected tenderness. They came after your father to hurt me through you, to prove you're a weakness. We need to show them you're not a weakness. You're my strength. How do we do that? His smile was dangerous, possessive. By making every person in Chicago believe you're mine, that I would burn their world down for you, that touching you means death. And how do we make them believe that? By making it true. He leaned in, kissed her hard and fast. Get ready. Wear the black dress. We have reservations at WAITRESS in 2 hours. WAITRESS, that's the most exclusive restaurant in the city. I know. That's the point. Every criminal, businessman, and politician will see us there. Together, engaged, untouchable. After he left, Imani sank to the floor, her legs shaky. 3 men had tried to kill her father. Because of her. Because she'd saved Jong-Suk's life. And tonight, she was walking into a room full of people who wanted her dead, pretending to be madly in love with a man who made her feel things she shouldn't. A man who kissed her, like she was his salvation and his damnation wrapped in one. A man she was terrified she was actually falling for. 2 hours later, Imani stared at herself in the mirror and barely recognized the woman looking back. The black dress was devastating, all elegant lines and strategic cutouts that showed just enough skin to be lethal. Helena had outdone herself with the styling. Smoky eyes, deep red lips, hair in an elegant updo that showcased her neck and shoulders. She looked like she belonged in Jong-Suk's world, like she was born for it. A knock. Then Jong-Suk entered. He'd changed into a perfectly tailored black suit that probably cost more than her car. His hair was styled back, emphasizing those sharp cheekbones and intense eyes. They stared at each other, and the hunger in his gaze made her breath catch. "You're going to start a war looking like that," he said, voice rough. "Isn't that the point? The point is to end one." He crossed to her, pulled a jewelry box from his pocket. "But first, we make this official." He opened the box to reveal a ring that stole her breath. A massive diamond, surrounded by smaller stones, set in platinum. It was the most beautiful thing she'd ever seen. "Jong-Suk, this is yours." He took her left hand, slid the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. "As of tonight, you're my fiancée, not just for show. In every way that matters, you're mine." The possessiveness in his voice made her shiver. "And what are you?" His hand cupped her face, thumb tracing her lower lip. "Yours. Completely, irrevocably yours. Any man who looks at you wrong dies. Any woman who insults you bleeds. Anyone who threatens you ceases to exist. Understand?" She should be horrified. Instead, heat pooled in her belly. "You can't kill everyone who looks at me. Watch me." He leaned down, breath ghosting over her lips. "Ready?" "No. But let's do this anyway." His smile was pure danger. "That's my girl." The drive to WAITRESS was tense. Jong-Suk kept his hand on her thigh, possessive and grounding. Ji-hoon drove while 2 more cars full of guards flanked them. "Stay close to me," Jong-Suk instructed as they pulled up. "Don't accept drinks from anyone else. Don't go anywhere alone, and if something happens, you get behind me. Understood?" "Understood." He kissed her then, hard and claiming, before the valet opened the door. When he pulled back, his eyes were blazing. Showtime. They stepped out into a storm of camera flashes. Apparently word had spread fast. Jong-Suk kept his arm around her waist, proprietary and protective, as they walked the red carpet. "Mr. Lee, who's your date? Is it true you've called off your engagement to Valentina Romano? Are the rumors of a power struggle true?" Jong-Suk ignored them all until they reached the entrance. Then he turned, pulled Imani close, and kissed her, like his life depended on it. Cameras went crazy, flashes exploding like lightning. When he finally released her, she was dizzy, breathless, burning. "That's my fiancée, Imani Brooks," he announced to the crowd. "The woman I'm going to marry, the woman I would kill for. Remember that." Inside WAITRESS, every eye turned to watch them. Conversations died mid-sentence. The air itself seemed to hold its breath as Jong-Suk led Imani through the restaurant, his hand never leaving her body. He'd reserved a private corner booth with clear sightlines to all exits. Strategic. Always strategic. A waiter appeared immediately, nervous and overly attentive. Jong-Suk ordered for both of them in Italian, his accent flawless. Another thing she hadn't known about him. "You speak Italian?" 5 languages. His thumb traced circles on the back of her hand, where it rested on the table. "Useful in my line of work. What else don't I know about you?" His smile was dark. "We have time for you to learn everything." The implication that they had a future beyond this week made her heart skip. Their food arrived, but Imani could barely taste it. She was too aware of Jong-Suk's eyes on her, the weight of dozens of other stares, the danger humming through the air like electricity. "They're watching us," she whispered. "Good. Let them watch." He lifted his wine glass, then hers, pressing it to her lips. The intimacy of the gesture, feeding her wine while his eyes burned into hers, made heat flood through her. "Let them see exactly what you mean to me." She sipped, and he watched her throat work as she swallowed. The hunger in his expression had nothing to do with food. "You're enjoying this," she accused softly. "Immensely." His hand slid higher on her thigh under the table, hidden by the tablecloth. "Watching every man in here want what's mine? Knowing they can't have you? That I'll paint the walls with their blood if they try? Yes, I'm enjoying it." His hand squeezed and she bit back a gasp. "Jong-Suk, say my name again. We're in public. I don't care." His eyes were molten. "Say it." "Jong-Suk," she breathed, and felt his grip tighten. The moment shattered when a man approached their table. Mid-50s, expensive suit, calculated smile. Everything about him screamed danger. "Lee Jong-Suk, I heard you were dead." Jong-Suk's expression went cold, but his hand stayed possessive on Imani's thigh. "As you can see, rumors of my death were greatly exaggerated. Dominic. And with such beautiful company." Dominic's eyes raked over Imani in a way that made her skin crawl. "Who's this?" "My fiancée, Imani Brooks." Jong-Suk's voice dropped to something lethal. "The woman I'm going to marry. Touch her, look at her wrong, even think about her inappropriately, and I'll remove your eyes with a spoon. We clear?" Dominic's smile faltered. "Just being friendly. Be friendly somewhere else." After Dominic left, Imani released a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. Who was that? Dominic Russo, Romano family enforcer. Jong-Suk's jaw was tight. Probably here to assess whether you're a real threat or just window dressing. And what did we just tell him? That you're very real, very mine, and very much worth starting a war over. He lifted her hand to his lips, kissed her knuckles while maintaining eye contact. Perfect. They finished dinner under the weight of watchful eyes. Jong-Suk was attentive, possessive, playing his role flawlessly. He fed her bites of dessert, wiped chocolate from her lip with his thumb, then sucked it clean, making her flush. Every touch was calculated to broadcast ownership, desire, devotion. The problem was, it didn't feel like acting anymore. Back in the car, the tension was suffocating. Jong-Suk pulled her against his side, his arm around her shoulders, fingers playing with her hair. "You did well tonight," he murmured against her temple. Better than well. You were perfect. I barely did anything. You stood beside me without flinching. You let me touch you, claim you, mark you as mine in front of everyone. You showed strength." His hand tightened in her hair. "Do you know how rare that is? How intoxicating?" She turned to look at him, and the raw need in his face stole her breath. "Jong-Suk." He kissed her. Not the performative kisses from the restaurant, but something desperate and claiming. His tongue invaded her mouth, his hand fisting in her hair to angle her head exactly how he wanted. She kissed him back, just as fiercely, nails digging into his shoulders. When they pulled apart, both breathing hard, his eyes were nearly black with desire. "When we get home," he said, voice rough, "I'm going to take you apart, piece by piece, until you're screaming my name, until you forget every other man who ever looked at you, until the only thing you know is that you're mine." Heat flooded through her, pooling between her thighs. Promises, promises. His laugh was dark. "Oh, sweetheart, that's not a promise. That's a guarantee." The drive home felt eternal. Jong-Suk kept touching her, proprietary hands on her thigh, her neck, playing with her fingers, building anticipation until she was ready to combust. They barely made it through the penthouse door before he had her against the wall. His mouth found hers, hungry and demanding, while his hands roamed her body like he was trying to memorize every curve. "Say you want this," he demanded against her lips. "Say you want me. I want this. I want you." She tugged at his jacket, desperate to feel his skin. "Please." He lifted her, and she wrapped her legs around his waist as he carried her toward the bedroom. They left a trail of discarded clothing, his jacket, her shoes, his tie. By the time they reached the bed, she was down to her dress, and he was shirtless. He laid her down with surprising gentleness, then stood back to look at her. The intensity in his gaze made her feel exposed, vulnerable, wanted beyond measure. "You're so beautiful it hurts to look at you," he said, voice rough with emotion. "And you're mine, all mine." "Prove it." He smiled, dangerous and dark. What followed was incendiary. He worshipped her body with hands and mouth and teeth, learning every sound she made, every place that made her gasp. He was demanding and possessive, making her say his name, making her admit she was his, pushing her to the edge again and again. When he finally claimed her completely, it was with a tenderness that contrasted sharply with his earlier intensity. He moved slowly at first, watching her face, murmuring in Korean words she didn't understand, but felt in her soul. "Mine. Say it. Say you're mine." "Yours," she gasped, nails raking down his back. "I'm yours." The words broke something in him. After, wrapped in his arms with their hearts still racing, reality crept back in. "What are we doing?" she whispered into the darkness. His arms tightened around her. "Surviving, together. Is that all this is?" He was quiet for a long moment. Then, "Ask me again in 4 days, when this is over, when you're safe. Ask me then what this is." "Why not now?" "Because right now, I can't promise you anything except violence and danger and war, and you deserve better than that." She turned in his arms to face him. In the moonlight streaming through the windows, he looked younger, more vulnerable. "What if I don't want better? What if I just want you?" He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, finally her lips. Soft, sweet, full of promises neither of them could quite voice. "Sleep. Tomorrow we prepare for war." But Imani couldn't sleep. She lay awake in his arms, listening to his breathing even out, feeling the steady beat of his heart against her back. She'd crossed a line tonight. Not just physically, but emotionally. She was falling for Lee Jong-Suk, the mafia boss, the killer, the man who'd kidnapped her and blackmailed her and sworn to burn the world down for her. And God help her, she didn't want to stop falling. The next 2 days were a blur of preparation. Jong-Suk trained her harder, teaching her to shoot, to fight, to survive. At night, they fell into each other with desperate intensity, both knowing their time was running out. He took her shopping, insisted on buying her everything she even glanced at. Clothes, jewelry, books. He was trying to give her the world, and she was falling deeper with every gesture. They had dinner with his closest advisors, and she saw a different side of him. The leader, commanding respect without demanding it. The strategist, thinking 10 steps ahead. The man people would die for. "They love you," she said that night, curled against his side in bed. "They're loyal. It's different." "Is it?" He looked down at her, something unreadable in his eyes. "You make me want things I have no right to want." "Like what?" "A future. A life beyond survival. You." His hand traced her spine. "I've never wanted to keep someone before. Never wanted to build something that lasts. You make me want all of it." Her heart clenched. "Jong-Suk, don't say anything yet." He kissed her deep and slow. "Let me have these few days of pretending I deserve you. You're an idiot if you think you don't." His laugh was pained. "I've killed people, Imani. Some deserved it. Some were just in my way. I've done things that would horrify you. I'm not a good man." She straddled him, forced him to look at her. "Bad men don't save strangers. Bad men don't keep their promises. Bad men don't protect what they love with everything they have." She cupped his face. "You're a good man doing bad things in a bad world. That's not the same as being a bad man." He stared at her like she'd given him something precious. Then he kissed her with bruising intensity and made love to her until they were both wrecked and breathless. The morning of the wedding arrived too fast. Imani woke wrapped in Jong-Suk's arms, his face peaceful in sleep. She memorized this moment, knowing everything was about to change. His eyes opened, immediately alert. "Ready?" "No, but let's do this anyway." He smiled, then sobered. "Whatever happens today, you stay close to me. You do exactly what I say. And if I tell you to run, you run. Don't look back. Don't hesitate. Ji-hoon will get you out. Understood? I'm not leaving you." "Imani." "No. We walk out together or not at all." She met his gaze steadily. "I didn't fall for you just to abandon you when things get hard." His breath caught. "You fell for me?" The vulnerability in his voice made her heart ache. Like a stone off a cliff, fast and irreversible. He kissed her with desperate tenderness. "Then let me get us both out alive, so I can spend the rest of my life proving I'm worth that fall." The Romano estate was a fortress masquerading as a palace. High walls, armed guards every 20 feet, cameras covering every angle. Jong-Suk pulled up in a sleek black car, just the two of them. No guards, no backup visible. It looked like suicide. "They're here," Imani said quietly, watching shadows move in the trees. "Your men. 40 of them, strategically placed." His hand found hers, squeezed. "But we walk in alone. Show no fear." She wore red, his idea. A gorgeous red dress that drove Jong-Suk crazy. Her hair was down, wild and beautiful, and the diamond on her finger caught the light like a weapon. Jong-Suk wore all black, severe and beautiful, and deadly. They looked like war, dressed up as romance. The doors opened, and they stepped into chaos barely contained, as order. The ceremony was outside, hundreds of guests seated in elegant rows. At the altar stood Valentina in an elaborate wedding gown, her eyes widening in shock when she saw them. Beside her, Lee Tae-min's expression went murderous. "We weren't invited," Imani whispered as they walked down the aisle, every head turning to stare. "I don't need an invitation to crash my own brother's wedding," Jong-Suk's voice carried, intentionally loud. "Especially when he's marrying my ex-fiancée, the one who tried to kill me." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Valentina's face went white, then red. "Jong-Suk," Tae-min said, his smile sharp as glass. "How nice of you to join us. We thought you were dead." "Sorry to disappoint." They reached the front, and Jong-Suk pulled Imani close, possessive. "But I had to come congratulate you, both of you, on the engagement, the affair, the baby that's not mine, all of it." The crowd erupted in whispers. Valentina's father, the Romano family head, stood up, his face thunderous. "You have proof of these accusations?" "I have recordings, documents, medical records." Jong-Suk's smile was cold. "Should I play them now, or would you prefer to handle this privately?" "You're lying," Valentina shrieked. "He's lying. He's just bitter because I chose Tae-min over him." "Did you choose him?" Jong-Suk pulled out his phone, pressed play. Valentina's voice filled the air, crystal clear from that night at the restaurant. "Tomorrow night, the warehouse meeting. Make sure there's nothing left to identify." Then another recording. Valentina and Tae-min in bed, planning the coup, laughing about how stupid Jong-Suk was. How easy it would be to unite the families under their rule once he was dead. The silence that followed was deafening. "You recorded us?" Valentina's voice was shrill, with panic. "I record everything." Jong-Suk's expression was ice. "Did you really think I'd walk into an engagement without insurance?" Tae-min moved then, faster than Imani expected. He pulled a gun, aimed it directly at Jong-Suk's head. "Enough! You should have died in that warehouse. You should have—" Imani moved on pure instinct. The training, the hours in the gym, the muscle memory took over. She grabbed Tae-min's wrist, twisted hard, and used his momentum to send him stumbling. The gun fired wild, the shot going into the ground. Chaos erupted. Guards drew weapons. Guests screamed and ran. Valentina lunged for Imani, nails out like claws. Jong-Suk intercepted her, his hand closing around her throat. "Don't touch her. She ruined everything," Valentina gasped. "Some nobody waitress. That nobody waitress is worth 1,000 of you." He released her with a shove that sent her sprawling. "And she's going to be my wife." Imani's heart stopped. "What?" But there was no time to process. Tae-min had recovered, was raising his gun again. Jong-Suk moved like lightning, disarming him with brutal efficiency. The sound of bone breaking echoed across the estate. Then Jong-Suk's men appeared from everywhere. 40 armed guards surrounding the wedding, guns trained on the crowd. "Here's what's going to happen," Jong-Suk said, his voice carrying authority that made everyone freeze. "The Romano family is going to decide right now if they support a lying, murdering daughter, or if they want to maintain their alliance with the Lee family under my leadership." Valentina's father looked at his daughter, at the evidence, at Jong-Suk's cold certainty. The calculation in his eyes was brutal. "Valentina is no longer part of this family," he said finally. "Do with her what you will." "Papa, no!" Valentina's scream was desperate. "You can't." "You tried to start a war. You lied. You dishonored us all." He turned his back on her. "You're dead to me." Jong-Suk looked at Tae-min, who was cradling his broken arm, rage and defeat warring on his face. "You have a choice, brother. Exile or execution." "I'll kill you," Tae-min spat. "I'll come back and—" "Execution it is." Jong-Suk's voice was flat, emotionless. He nodded to Ji-hoon. "Wait, Imani grabbed Jong-Suk's arm. Don't, please. He looked at her, surprise flickering across his features. He tried to kill us both. I know. But if you execute him, you're no better than them. She held his gaze. Show mercy. Be the man I know you are, not the monster they think you are. The silence stretched, everyone watching, waiting to see if the notorious Lee Jong-Suk would show weakness for a woman. Finally, he spoke. Exile. You have 24 hours to leave the country. If you ever return, I'll finish this. Tae-min's expression twisted with hatred and humiliation, but he nodded. Ji-hoon's men escorted him away. Valentina was dragged off by Romano guards, still screaming threats and curses, and suddenly, it was over. The crisis averted, the war prevented, all because of truth, strategy, and a waitress who'd given a gangster a warning note. Jong-Suk turned to the stunned crowd. The wedding's over, but there will be another one soon. Mine. He pulled Imani against him. Anyone have objections? Silence. Then one person started clapping. Then another. Soon the entire crowd was applauding, some looking relieved, others calculating their new positions in the changed power structure. In the car ride home, Imani finally found her voice. Did you mean it? Which part? The part about marrying me. He looked at her, and the vulnerability in his eyes stole her breath. I meant every word. I know it's fast. I know it's insane. But I can't imagine my life without you in it. You make me want to be better. You make me believe I can be. Jong-Suk, you don't have to answer now. Take time. Think about it. About whether you can really live in this world with me, knowing what I am and what I do. His hand found hers. But know that I love you. Completely, irrevocably. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. Tears burned her eyes. You're an idiot. He blinked. What? You're an idiot if you think I need time. She laughed through her tears. I already decided. Back in that gym when you taught me to fight. In your bed when you held me like I was precious. Tonight, when you showed mercy because I asked. I decided weeks ago. Decided what? That I love you. That I choose you. That I want this crazy, dangerous, beautiful life with you. She cupped his face. So yes, I'll marry you. For real this time. His kiss was desperate and tender and full of promises. When they finally pulled apart, both breathless, he pressed his forehead to hers. I don't deserve you. Probably not. But you're stuck with me anyway. His laugh was pure joy, transforming his face into something beautiful and young and free. Best mistake I ever made was sitting in your section that night. Best decision I ever made was giving you that note. They drove home together, hands entwined, hearts full. Behind them, the Romano estate burned with the remains of the wedding that never was. Ahead of them, uncertain but bright, lay a future they'd build together. 6 months later, Imani stood in front of a mirror in a wedding dress that made her breath catch. Simple, elegant, perfect. Her father stood beside her in his tuxedo, healthy and strong after his successful transplant. You sure about this, baby girl? She looked at her reflection, at the woman she'd become. Stronger, fiercer, but still herself. Still the girl who'd risk everything to save a stranger. I've never been more sure of anything. The ceremony was small, intimate. Just close family and the people who mattered. No politics, no power plays. Just two people who'd found each other in the chaos and decided to build something beautiful from the wreckage. Jong-Suk waited at the altar, and when he saw her, his expression cracked open with emotion. Love, devotion, wonder that she'd chosen him. She walked down the aisle on her father's arm, but her eyes never left Jong-Suk's. When she reached him, Her father placed her hand in his. "Take care of my daughter." "With my life," Jong-Suk promised. "Every day for the rest of our lives." The vows they exchanged were simple but devastating. Promises of love and loyalty, of standing together against whatever came. When he slid the ring on her finger, his hands trembled. "I love you," he whispered. "My salvation, my queen, my everything." "I love you," she whispered back. "My monster, my protector, my home." The kiss that sealed their marriage was tender and deep and full of forever. At the reception, as they danced their first dance as husband and wife, Jong-Suk pulled her close. "Any regrets?" She thought about that night in the restaurant, about the split-second decision that changed everything, about the fear and danger and chaos, about falling in love with a man who was everything she never expected and everything she needed. Not a single one. He smiled against her hair. "Good, because you're stuck with me now. Forever." "Forever," he agreed. And as they swayed together, surrounded by people they loved, Imani realized that sometimes the best decisions came from moments of pure instinct. Sometimes love found you in the most unexpected places. Sometimes the right person came wrapped in all the wrong packaging. And sometimes a simple act of courage could change everything. She'd given a gangster a warning note to save his life. He'd given her the world in return. And together, they'd built something neither of them had believed possible. A love worth fighting for. A future worth living for. A life worth every risk they'd taken. 3 years later, Imani sat in Jong-Suk's office at their now legitimate business headquarters, reviewing contracts for their new community outreach program. They were slowly transforming the Lee Empire, moving away from the darkness and toward the light. It was slow work, hard work, but they were doing it together. Jong-Suk entered, carrying their 6-month-old daughter, Arya. She had his dark hair and Imani's eyes, and she'd completely stolen both their hearts. "Someone wanted her mama," he said, settling the baby in Imani's arms. Imani cradled their daughter, marveling as she always did at this tiny miracle. This proof that beauty could come from darkness, that love could transform everything. "She's perfect," Imani whispered. "Like her mother." Jong-Suk kissed them both. "I have a meeting in an hour. Legitimate investors, I promise." "I know." She smiled up at him. "I trust you." Those 3 words still made his expression soften with wonder. Trust, the thing he'd never expected to earn, that she'd given him anyway. "I love you," he said, as he did every day, multiple times a day, like he was still amazed she was his. "I love you too." After he left, Imani looked down at Arya, who was watching her with those intelligent eyes. "You want to know a secret?" she whispered to her daughter. "Your daddy was a very bad man when I met him. Scary and dangerous, and everything I should have run from." Arya cooed, waving tiny fists. "But he was also brave and loyal, and capable of so much love. And he became the best man I know. Because that's what love does, baby girl. It transforms us. It makes us better. It gives us reasons to be the people we were always meant to be." She kissed her daughter's forehead. "So when you're old enough to hear this story, remember, sometimes the best things come from the scariest decisions. Sometimes love finds you in the darkness, and sometimes a simple choice to do the right thing changes everything." Arya smiled, and Imani's heart swelled with love so fierce it hurt. She'd saved a gangster's life with a note. He'd saved hers by loving her unconditionally. And together, they'd built a family, a future, and a love that would last forever. Outside the window, Chicago glittered in the afternoon sun. The city that had brought them together, that had tested them, that had witnessed their transformation from strangers to soulmates. Imani smiled, holding her daughter close, and thought about that terrified waitress who'd made a split-second decision in a restaurant. Thank you, she thought to her past self. Thank you for being brave. Thank you for taking the risk, because sometimes one moment of courage could lead to a lifetime of love, and that was a story worth living. Oh my God, what a journey! Did you love Imani and Jong-Suk's story as much as I did? This is what happens when you take a chance on love, even when it's dangerous and crazy and completely unexpected. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that subscribe button, smash that like, and drop a comment telling me, what was your favorite moment? Was it the first kiss? The wedding showdown? The beautiful ending? I want to hear all your thoughts, and share this with someone who loves a good dark romance. Trust me, they'll thank you later. Until next time, remember, sometimes the scariest decisions lead to the most beautiful destinations. Love you all.